Yep. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Glad to have you guys back. I'm Karla. I'm with the compliance department. I do all your compliance for all the documents that you submit in Command. And I'm going to tell you how to get paid faster. So once you submit everything, once you close, it would be nice to get the check within a day or two. I hope that everybody's in agreement with that. So I know I am. So anyway, there's a couple things, and I hope you're attending all the classes that you can, especially with your transaction coordinator. Transaction partner, I should say. They are going to show you how to fill out all the documents and what to do and what not to do. So make sure you're attending that. Make sure you're attending the all the classes, the bulletproof class. We might be combining that later on. So, but be sure to attend that with Tasha. So anyway, I'm going to share my screen and show you what I do. And if anybody's name is up here, I apologize. I'm just going to use it, and I hope it stays within this room. So I'm going to share this screen, and hopefully you are seeing my command.
Yep.
Good. Okay. So I see, if you look over here, this is what I'm going to check. Now, obviously, there's no changed ones in here at the moment, but I check the submitted files, the resubmitted files, and the changed files. So in order for me to see your files, they have to be submitted. I get so many of them that Lynn Lynn gets the check and she says, have you checked this file? And I said, no. And I look up the address and nobody has submitted any of the files. So we don't see those and we can't read mine. So you have to submit the file for review. And the other thing is you have to submit every file. So that means if you have a listing, you have to submit. Once you get your documents in there, you have to, and this will say submit for review for you all. You would click that and it would send it to me then. And then it comes into my queue. Okay. And that's how I check it. You can't just submit the listed without submitting, and then go on and close. You have to, once you're under contract, you have to submit your under contract file. And then once you close, you have to submit your closed file. Okay. So don't just submit everything. And then once it's closed, I've seen this, that people just submit their closed file. Then I have to go back up and then review all these open files that you've never submitted. So make sure you're submitting each file. The other thing is in the, let me see if I can find, here's a consultation folder. This is new-ish. So we've decided that the main thing is you have to submit your files within 3 days of signing. So if you have a buyer agency agreement, this is the folder you're going to use. You're going to have the working with real estate agents and the exclusive buyer agency agreement signed, and then you put them in here and click submit within 3 days of signing. Okay. So we're using this folder now, the consultation folder, to kind of set apart the buyer agency agreement and the working with real estate agent so that you will submit them early. Okay. And of course, then once you have the rest of your under contract documents, you're going to submit those. Okay. Now, how do you know what to submit? So in the consultation folder, and this is just for buyers, you have these two documents that say required. So that's like your checklist for what to submit in this folder. You need to submit your working with real estate agents and your buyer agency agreements, okay? This little DS means it's in DocuSign. This document you can find in DocuSign. Okay, so you're going to submit those and then I'll review them. In the under contract folder, there's a whole bunch of documents here, okay? The ones that say required, obviously, are required. The compensation agreement, then the form number 220 that we're all loving and hearing about is a required document, okay? So it needs to be submitted. And then here's your offer to purchase. Obviously, if it's a vacant land, then you're going to submit the land offer to purchase. That's why it says conditional. If you're unsure why it's a conditional document, hover over this little informational button. And obviously it says submit that if the condition is if it's vacant land. Okay. Optional would be a bill of sale, personal property. That's a fairly new document as well. If the buyers want to buy the swing set out back or the lawn furniture or whatever, that's what this document would be for. And there's your information. If you hover over that, if there's a personal property being sold. This is not an addendum to the contract. It's just a separate part of your deal. Because the swing set and all that stuff isn't necessarily part of the offer to purchase. Okay. And then, of course, your receipt of money. A lot of times people have two separate pieces of paper to they need to add both the earnest money disclosure and the due diligence, and they have them on two separate of the page 17s. So you can either combine them. Let me see if they combine them, and a lot of times they do, or they're all on one page. Okay. And then I would approve that. Or another way to do that is if it's in two separate pieces of paper and you don't combine them, then you come up here to the shaded area above the placeholders, go to the right here where those three dots are and click on those three dots. Okay. And then you are going to add a document. Okay. Once you click that, you can put it as EM acknowledgement or whatever the name of the document is, just so they name it so I can understand it. And then document type, it really doesn't matter what you use here. Okay, just pick one. So I'll just add an addendum, and then you're going to take the document either from the computer, your computer that you've downloaded, or DocuSign, Dotloop, whatever you use. And you can put that in whatever the source of your document is, where you're going to find it, and then put it in here. Okay. And then you're going to save it. And I'm not going to do it on this file because I don't want to mess her files up. So once you save that, it's going to scroll all the way to the bottom here and add that placeholder or add that document. Okay. So it's going to appear as a placeholder because what you named it will be right down here. Okay. And then it'll either say either agreement or other or whatever, what you chose. And then your document will be here. So it could be the earnest money acknowledgement. Because when I'm checking something like this, that could be 2 pages. If I only see one signed, I'm always going to look at the bottom of the page to make sure the other one isn't in there. Okay. If I ask you, if I return this and say we're missing the earnest money acknowledgement, don't replace this one with the earnest money acknowledgement. Don't replace it, because then I won't see the due diligence. Okay, so I need to see both of them. All right, so that's why we have that, either that other one. What I do, I'm going to show you what my tech person, otherwise known as my husband, told me. If I put it in a bookmark, but it's this merge file. I don't know if anybody is familiar with this. It's foxit.com merge. It's free. I don't pay for this. And then you can select, if you upload them into your files, you can select whatever documents you want to merge. Okay, so if I want to merge that one, and it shows up, then I click my second one and it shows up. You can change the order of them. If you have 3 or 4, you can put those in, and then click start. And then it merges those documents. And then you download it to your file. And then it's those, like the earnest money and the due diligence, are both in one document then. And this is so easy. So it makes it much easier to merge the documents this way. If you have another way and that you're familiar with, you can use those. But that's how I do it. Okay, now I am going to go into a listing. Oops. Can everybody see this listing here? And there's all these ones again that say required. So the listing agreement, working with real estate agent, needs to be submitted within 3 days of signing. Okay, so let's say you get those, you don't have any other documents, but you need to get these in there. Go ahead and hit submit. I won't approve the file simply because not all the documents are in there yet. But I will tell you if these are approved or what. And then I say add the missing documents when required. And once you submit those, all the other documents are due at least 7 days before closing. Right now, I'm pretty much caught up, so I get them done every day. I look at the documents that were submitted and I do the compliance on them every day. So, so if it's at least 7 days before closing, that way you can change them. You can make the changes or additions to the documents before closing, because you don't want to go back to your client, ask him to sign something after closing. It doesn't look too good.
Karla,
Yes,
I had a question.
sure.
I I had some documents in mine. You had mine up. I guess it was a buy side, and I had submitted the documents, and it said I think it said upload. No, it said added. But then I realized that I didn't submit them, so I had a bunch of them. So this morning, I guess I selected. Did I go to review? How did I do that? Um,
Submit.
submit. Yeah, was that right?
Yes. Do you,
I guess I uploaded it, but then I forgot to
oh,
submit.
here. Yeah. Is it you, Greygate Lane?
Yeah, I forgot to submit them, and I don't know why I did it.
But it's before closing.
Yeah, okay, but once I add the document, I have to go to the upper right side and hit submit.
Yes.
That's what I
Yeah.
did wrong. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So once you load those documents, make sure you're hitting submit. Okay. So I'm going to a listed one. And he's got all of his in here. So everything that he needed has been approved. Okay. Now this lead-based paint, of course, you all know that it's before 1978. And that's what the little informational button is going to tell you anyway. Okay. So everything is submitted. The one thing that he submitted that I want to remind you, if you're working with an LLC or a trust or a POA, we need that documentation in there in the file to prove the validity of the signer. Okay. So if you are working with an LLC, as Sabra has always said, it's not the LLC that's buying the house, it's the person signing for the LLC. You know what I mean? LLC is not a person. A person has to sign. Okay. So we need proof that the person signing all of these other documents is part of the LLC or the POA or the trust.
Carla, I have another
Yeah,
question. I
that's
apologize.
fine.
What
Good.
if in my situation in that same opportunity, I was going to have the seller signed by POA, but they decided not to. If that does happen, do I have to submit their the other side's POA? In this case, it would have been the seller. Do I have to submit her documentation?
No, if it's not
Okay.
if it's not your buyer or seller, then no, you don't need to submit their documentation.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. Um, okay. So all of this is done. Now, one thing, it's pretty much done now since everybody's using 2024 forms. Make sure you're using the correct forms. I had one the other day that submitted a 2022 form, and it's like, what? Where in the world are you even getting those forms? So make sure you're using the correct form. If you entered into an agreement prior to, is it August of 24, and you're using the 2023 form, then obviously you'll need this agency agreement form number 715. Oops, he changed his, but if they're underlined, you can click on it and the blank document will come up. And this will bring your old document up to date. Okay.
Karla, I do have a couple questions.
Sure.
Just because we haven't been at Keller Williams since they changed the commission rules.
Yes.
So first question on Form 220, does
Okay.
Keller Williams have uh, a specific way they want it to say either the seller or listing agent is paying, or could either of those checkboxes be marked? Because our old firm was very diligent about wanting one of them selected.
Yeah, only one should be selected.
Does it matter which one though? They only wanted a specific one. I'm not going to say which one. They like everything that came back, the other option, they would say, this doesn't work. We need you to edit it. And then we would go back to the other agent and they would be like, well, this is how my firm is saying to do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is either of those boxes okay in this office?
Um, I'm only since I don't know what deal you've made, I'm only gonna make sure there's only one checked.
Perfect.
Okay, so whether it matters if so this is the listing firm. It kind of makes sense that the listing firm would pay simply because your seller is paying you, let's say 6%.
Yep.
And then you, as the firm, is allowing 3% of that money to go to the buyer agency. So
Okay.
I would unless it's a for sale by owner or whatever, or not represented, seller, then I would check seller. But
Okay.
other than that, I would check listing firm. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're
And then the other
welcome.
question around that as well is going to be, let's say we do have a buyer agency agreement with a buyer for 3%, and the seller is only offering 2.5% compensation. Do we then need to use that Form 710 to adjust the buyer agency commission to match what the seller is paying, or is it okay if there's a difference?
So I had this conversation with Tasha the other day, and she has said that if the 220 form is lower than what your commission says on the buyer agency agreement, you don't need to use that form.
Okay.
But if it's higher, then you'll
Then
need
you do.
that Form 770.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That was all I
Good.
have.
Okay, good. The other thing on Form 220 while we're at it is I always am looking for the buyer to sign because it says buyer signs to acknowledge receipt of this form. Okay, so the
Okay.
buyer should always sign it because that was the whole issue with these new rules, is that the buyer it needs to be disclosed to all parties, but especially the buyer, of what the commission is and where it's coming from. Okay. So as far as the listing here, I'll accept this since all parties have signed, but if it's just the listing firm, then only the listing agent needs to sign.
Technically needs to sign. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because they've already disclosed that in the listing
The
agreement.
listing agreement. Yep. Okay. Perfect.
Okay. All right. In this form, I mean, it's still confusing. We're all still learning all of this. So that's that's where it stands now. And I'm making sure that it matches like this, the gross sale, the percentage that you're going to pay matches your listing agreement. Because if it doesn't, then you're going to have to use, you have to use Form 710 to amend your listing agreement to match what you're paying the buyers. That makes sense? Okay, so you'll have to say a buyer agency compensation change to whatever was in the Form 220. All right, enough of that. So all the ones that say required are the ones that you're going to put in there. Okay, and of course, if you have the septic permit, put that in there. Okay, now a couple things on all these. The proof of square footage. Sabra wants us to have the property address, the total square footage, and the calculations as to how they came up with the total square footage. Okay, so I've been returning a bunch of these because they don't have the calculations in it. Okay, now this is an exception to the rule. I've got the address and the total square footage, but there's these calculations in each room. Okay, does that make sense? There's another, oh, I wish I could find hers. And then there's another one that has a blanket statement from the person who did the measurements saying this is how they measured. So when she puts her measurements in, even if the calculations aren't in there like clearly, then oh, it's right here. No, it isn't, because that would be a listing. Anyway, then she puts that little email in there so that I know that they've calculated correctly and according to what the MLS wants. Okay, so in all of your calculations, so this one doesn't have either. Okay, so this is just the total square foot. We are missing the calculations on here. Even though it says on each part, again, it's a gray area. So, but that's what we need. Okay, to try to get them to put the calculations on each one. All right,
Quick question on that, sorry.
okay,
We don't do a ton of off-market listings, but if we do an off-market listing, are measurements still needed?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. The coming soon form. Sabre, we've come across so many people who, again, wait till the last minute to submit all of their documents. So the coming soon form needs to be signed by all parties. And let me see if I can bring one up. But hang on just a second. Let me share. Two, hang on just a second. Or screen one. Do you all see the coming soon form? Okay. So this is the coming soon form that we need for Canopy. Okay. You need to put the active date. All right. And then obviously the seller's initials at each place. You want the property address, the seller's signature, the listing agent's signature, and then this one is one that most people miss. So they just submit it and we're good to go. Well, that's not good to go because you need Sabra or Tasha's signature on there. Okay. And it must be before it's all, and it's before it's submitted, even before coming soon. Okay. Because you know, when you've started coming soon and the date that's active here, the BIC must sign it. So, and they want it signed after all the others have signed. So after your sellers have signed, after you have signed, send it right away to Sabra, or actually send it to Tasha. Okay, for signature. Because if they happen to get, if the file happens to get audited and they see that the BIC didn't sign it until 2 months after closing, or 2 months after, after the date that it started, that it became active, they're gonna, I don't know if they fine you. I think it's a fine. They're gonna fine you, and they're gonna fine the brokerage. So you don't want that. Even though it's not submitted, they won't sign it anymore if it's late. So make sure that you get this in there, okay? So everybody signs and then immediately send it to Tasha for signatures. Okay? Now, let me go back to here. And who's that? All right, where do you find those forms? Some of them are in DocuSign in the Canopy, or the I think it's the North Carolina MLS. They have one, but we also have KWB Resources. Do y'all know about that? I hope. kwbresources.com. Let me share that screen. Okay. What I did was, this is where I'm at. Once you bring it up, you go to Office Resources, go to Forms and Checklists. And then this will come up. Once the password, does everybody know the password to get in there? It's capital B, then small letter AMC. So it's Ballantyne Area Market Center, 350. Okay, so if you can't find a form that maybe you need and it's not in DocuSign, look in here. And it's under, get the forms under General Forms. Okay. So here's the coming soon form. Okay. And then you can upload it to your computer and then upload it wherever you need to. And then the firm exclusive form, that's the one that you would use. Oh, I can't find it. That's the one you use if you're not going to put it in MLS. If you're not going to put it in MLS, then you definitely need this form and you need it quickly because it needs to be submitted. Then Sabra will submit it to MLS. Okay. Again, fill all this out. Have everybody have the seller's initial. Don't forget this checkbox here in the last one because Canopy has returned these forms without that checkbox. Okay, so make sure that they do or do not authorize to put it in Canopy after closing for comp purposes only. And then your seller signs, you sign, immediately then send it to Tasha for a signature. Okay, don't wait. Because then you're pretty much out of compliance. Any questions on that? Okay, just remember that everybody has to sign before the BIC signs, okay? In these forms also, there you can find the, for buyers only, we have the heritage title, which is the, we have a business relationship with them. So you need to fill this out and make sure they've checked one of these. What I do is I name the attorney that they've chosen. And then I always put a check mark there for them, because if that's the only one, if they're allowing the closing attorney to choose the title insurance, then it's done. All they have to do is sign it. But if they have a preference, these are open that they can check and fill in.
Carla, I had a question on that.
Sure.
When do you normally like to get that signed? I'm using McKnight and Clements, and
Yeah.
I have not had my buyer sign that.
Yeah.
Is it okay to do that at the closing?
After closing?
At the closing.
Oh, no, I would do it at least 7 days before closing.
Okay.
You might not know the title company, but that's why you have McNaught and Clements in here. Then they choose it, which is usually how it goes. The attorney usually chooses.
Yes. So in that case, I still don't quite understand how I would fill this out. If they choose it, what do
Well,
I select?
so you're gonna, so to put the property address up there, their names, and
Right.
then make these checkable through DocuSign,
Right.
and then make a blank blank so that they can fill it in.
Right.
Text box, I should say. And you can still fill in here, because they're closing closing attorney is McNaught and Clemens. Does that make
Okay. All
sense?
right. Yeah, and then the other ones, do I need to fill out the other ones or no?
No.
Just, okay,
No, they will fill it out. If they say, oh, no, we have a friend that owns this title company that we want to use, then
okay,
they'll check this box here and name that title company.
understood. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Carla,
And
I
if
also
they
have a
choose
question on this one.
heritage title, sorry, they obviously they would choose this. Okay. Okay, what's the question?
If we have our own title company, then do we use this affiliated business in addition to our own, or does this one become null and void if we're using our own affiliated business?
Huh, that's a good question.
Okay.
Um,
I'll plan on doing both for the time being. And if
okay,
it,
do both, but you ask either Sabra or Tasha, because I know somebody else uses their own and we don't worry about this form for them.
oh, okay, got it.
Okay, so but make sure you touch base with Tasha or Sabra so that I know not to look for that in you guys' files. Does that make sense?
Perfect. We will,
Okay, and then let me know.
we'll, yep, I was gonna say, we'll circle back with you once we get that answer.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
And then
And then
Carla,
Joanne, if it
oh,
helps at all, just to let you know, we usually
sure.
send our affiliated business disclosure out with our buyer agency docs. That
Okay,
way,
I can do
the
that.
clients know upfront, like, hey, we either have an interest in this company or don't. And then, like Carla
Right.
said, they're not bound to use it. It's just letting them know.
And it's a
Yeah,
disclosure. Yeah. Yeah. The rest of
I didn't do it. It's my first,
that's okay.
so I have to have him sign it. I
Well,
know I hope he doesn't he's very particular about stuff. Now, it says on the first one that he has received the copy of the RESPA. I mean, I didn't, where is that information so we can review it? Is that in the documents?
let me
Let me
look
go
at
back to number one.
what here in the title agency.
In the agreement, it says, okay, under number one, it says, I acknowledge I've
Oh,
received a copy and I don't
oh,
know where that is to give him.
I'll show you.
Okay.
This is the other one, the title company, affiliated business arrangement
Oh, that's one.
disclosure.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
the one. Yeah.
What is a good explanation? And again, I'm doing it last minute for him so that he doesn't get alarmed.
So you just tell them that this is a disclosure that we need to disclose because Keller Williams has a business relationship with Carolina Gold and Heritage Title. That
Okay.
only means we're disclosing that to you. That doesn't mean you have to choose it. It's just something we have to let you know.
And then with Heritage Title, is that who McNaught and Clemens typically uses?
No, I don't believe they use them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who they use in particular, but
Okay.
yeah, if they choose, then you have to submit that form to the attorney to let them know they're using heritage title.
The other thing,
Okay.
Joanne, if it helps, is I do
Yeah.
believe title charges and costs are a standardized fee in North Carolina. So it doesn't necessarily really matter who the buyer is going to use. Their cost is going to be pretty much the same. So if
Pretty,
that helps
yeah,
smooth things over with those picky clients,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's
Thank
something
you.
we have
He will
been
be.
using as well.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay, yeah,
Appreciate that.
okay. So make sure all of these documents are complete. These two documents are only for buyers, okay? We don't use our lot disclosure anymore. It's a new form from the NAR. Septic and sewer form is also here if you need to use it. Make sure you fill out the property address and check if you're listing your buyer's agent. And then you need to do your due diligence and check to make sure, because if the seller, don't take it from the seller or the listing agent, because they can say, yes, this property's on, a well and septic. Well, then you find out that oh no, they're getting a bill every month from city water. So, and then you run into problems at closing or after closing because you didn't do your due diligence and check that. Okay, so you could be in trouble for misleading information.
Carl, I have
Come
another
on.
question.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. If I have the home that we're closing on is a condominium,
Yeah.
and I know the water and sewer is provided by the HOA, do I just need to select that one, that the HOA, and I have the document that,
Yes.
okay,
If you have the CCRs, so the water and sewer is provided by HOA, yes or
and
no?
is that one page of the document?
Um,
Because
yeah,
it's 18
that would be
pages.
helpful.
It's 18 pages, so I wondered what
I
I would
know.
do.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, if you can, either submit the whole 18 pages with that part highlighted.
With it, you want the whole entire document?
Yeah, because then we know it's for that.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect, perfect.
it's for that condo. But if you can highlight where it is in that document that the water and sewer is provided, that's
Okay,
very helpful to me because it takes me a long time to go through that
yeah.
document to look for that.
The HOA, the manager had actually sent me, she didn't know where it was in the document, so she sent me the budget she sent me the budget for this year. It said there's water and sewer.
Perfect.
And can I submit that as well?
Yes. Or
Just that one?
instead, you can do that instead of the
Okay, great. That's
Yeah.
easier. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
So just anything like that proves that they are paying for the water and sewer is perfect.
I
Okay.
apologize for so many questions because I finally
Oh,
I'm
no.
going through them and I'm understanding what you're saying. I can actually
Yes,
afford to
that's exactly why I'm here. So
thank you, Carl. I
and
appreciate
that's
it.
what this is for, sure.
Perfect.
So
Thank you.
sometimes they're on city water.
Mhm.
Okay, so you would call the city or county, wherever it's coming from, check that the water is connected or available. Okay. And then sewer connection, no, the city is not available or not connected because they have a septic. Okay, so down here, then you're going to choose either one or two of these statements. And the reason I say two is because you may have requested a copy of the septic permit, and then you would initial here, and then later on the copy was obtained, then you uh, initial there. Sorry.
Carla, can I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, what was the password again to get into this form site? I want to make sure I have it correct.
It's capital B, AMC, then that's little letters AMC,
Yes,
350.
350.
Yes,
That's the full password?
that's the whole password.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay, and then of course, if you're the listing agent, you're just going to sign it, and you don't need your sellers to sign it. But if you're the buyer's agent, you sign it and your buyers sign it. So the sellers wouldn't sign because they've already put that in the property disclosures, what they believe to be true. Okay. So that means that's why you're verifying their accuracy. Okay. Any questions on that? All right, so in the listing folder, so when you're starting a brand new transaction, you're going to pick the checklist that you're going to use. Make sure you're picking the correct one. Okay, so in a listing, oh, let me share back my screen. Can you see it? Back to my command.
Not yet.
Ah. No,
No, just a
No,
black
not
screen.
yet.
a black screen. Oh, no. Tell me.
Exit command, then go back into it. Then try sharing again.
You still seeing a black screen?
Yes.
Yes.
We're not sharing. Turn it back on.
Okay, hang on just a second. Stop sharing. Let
Now
me
you're
see. Huh?
You're back now.
I'm back. I don't want. Now you should be able to see it.
Yep.
Okay. You're seeing command.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So I was saying before you even start a transaction, you have to choose the right checklist. Okay, so in the listing and sale checklist, there's not too many. There's the listing for North Carolina, listing for South Carolina, listing for North Carolina land. There's not a listing for South Carolina land. Oh, there is right here. South Carolina land. It's in the buyers that there's not a buyer one for land and commercial. So normally you're going to check whichever North Carolina or South Carolina listing. Okay, so make sure you're checking the correct one. Now, in a buyer's agency, there are a lot of them. So you have a lot of choices there. Okay. So make sure you're checking the correct one, especially the new construction ones. So if your client, if your buyer is looking at a new home, like True Homes or Mattamy Homes or whoever, make sure you're choosing one of these checklists, either from North Carolina or South Carolina. And the reason I say that is because these checklists are so much shorter than the normal North Carolina checklist. So if you can see, there's a whole, let me move this. Sorry. There's a whole list of possible documents that you have to add. Okay. Whereas in a new construction, and I'd have to dig for one because I don't know who's using a new construction. Yeah, I don't have that many up here right now. So anyway, that's what the list is so much smaller in a new construction sale. Okay, so make sure you're choosing the correct checklist. And don't forget to submit them for review. Okay. I had another thought and I just lost it.
Hi,
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
I actually have a new construction, and I by mistake started uploading the documents on regular North Carolina sales.
Okay.
So how do I eliminate those? Do I have to close that transaction so I can start doing? I mean, I can. It gives me the option to be able to do the new construction checklist and upload everything there. But because I have the other stuff in the other side, what do you recommend? Do I end that transaction, or do I just leave it there and just,
I don't, you mean one of them has terminated?
It's not that, it's that I uploaded the document on the wrong side. So it was supposed to be listed,
Oh,
uploaded
okay.
in the new construction.
Just choose the correct checklist.
Huh?
You, is that, you chose the wrong checklist?
Yeah, and I uploaded already the documents. So,
Okay, just choose the right checklist. And I
Uh-huh.
think you're gonna have to upload all of them again.
that's fine. That I get. But my question is, do I have to eliminate the other ones?
You don't have to eliminate them.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to mention, that they didn't think it's two transactions or something.
Right, right.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
That was my question. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Yes, so if you have submitted a document in error, let's say you put the wrong address in there, and I've come across that. But let me digress. Before you submit these documents, make sure they're the ones that you want in there. A lot of times I get them that are blank or the seller hasn't signed them. And even though you have the seller's signature or the buyer's signature, you uploaded the wrong one from DocuSign. So in DocuSign, you can, I don't know how they teach you to do it, but the ones that are correct and fully executed and ready to be uploaded to command, I'll rename it. You can either put a command, in front of it, rename that document, and then that's the one you'll pick from that list of all the documents in DocuSign that you choose from to upload. Okay, so when you choose this list, when you want to upload a document from DocuSign, it gives you every document that's in DocuSign. Okay, so it goes from the blank listing agreement to the fully executed listing agreement. There's probably 2 or 3 of them in there. Okay, but you have to choose the right one. So before I submit, I always just check the document, make sure, oh yeah, that's the one because it has all the signatures and all that on it, then submit it. Okay, that will save you a lot of time, so that if you did upload the wrong one, it won't get returned for that. Okay. Okay. Any questions on that? All right, one other thing that's extremely important, because this is gonna be how you get paid, and that's this offers tab. Okay, so let's say you're nearing closing, at least 7 days, and you know that not much changes are going to be made now. There's not going to be a buyer concession or anything like that. And you're going to go to the closing table on that note. You're going to click on the offers tab. Okay, this is going to be how you actually get paid. Okay, so it'll say you can generate an offer. He's got 2 of them here. One was terminated, and that's fine. But this one, it's going to come up with an offer, and it's going to give you all these things. Ask you what the list price is and who's the buyer, and you just complete those. You just go through those prompts, and then you're going to say accept the offer. Okay, once that offer is accepted, I think it goes right to commissions now, or it'll say manage commission, and you're going to click on that. Okay, so he's already done it. So I'm going to I'm just going to view the commission. Okay, and then all of the prompts again will come up. So this is this is what he has put in all of the questions. Okay, this is just the summary. So he put the address in, obviously. Some of this will auto-populate, but you need to put all the information in. And I know that she said the unit is 1, and under the unit, there's another, I think it says a GCI. And I think on that, you want to put 100%. Okay. It's going to go 100% towards your GCI. Okay.
Now, Carla, on a team, this is the units, if I recall correctly, is that how we do the splits? It would be like 0.5 and 0.5 if it's a 50-50, or 0.7 and 0.3 if it's 70-30. Is
Yes.
that how we did it? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the other thing I couldn't remember, and I know we're still getting set back up,
Sure.
but I believe isn't there a way I could go into my command and then work on behalf of our team to do all of this, or do I have to sign in and out of theirs? I can't remember that.
I don't know that.
Okay.
That one will be a question for Jules and Leah. Have
Okay.
you met them?
I have not, but I'm sure Eileen or Nicole have, and I will put that on my list.
And here, if you're in KWB resources,
I am, yep.
go to the main page, or at the top of where all those where all the options are.
Yep.
And at the far right, it says I need tech help. And if you click that tab, then you can schedule a meeting with them.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, I think they have open hub. They're in the hub from maybe 12:30 to 1 every day.
Okay.
Check on
Otherwise, it's
that,
just
if you will.
schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Tuesday to Friday, 12 to 12:30.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Carla.
Thank you. So yeah, you can pop in there, just say how to they can help you with setting that up.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So once you have all of this in there, it'll say, it says submit or accept the transaction or something. You have to click that. Otherwise, it's open, and when you click that, it's going to give you a transaction ID, and that is how Lynn is going to pay you. Okay, it used to be a disbursement authorization number, and they've changed it over to this. So you have a transaction ID. Once you have that, then you're good to go. So once you then close, if she has all that information, then you can get paid. Okay. So not only do all of your documents have to be correct and in and approved, you have to get the commission tab going. Okay. And that's how you get paid. Simple as that. Does anybody have any questions? I think we're good to go.
Carla,
Yeah.
do we have any way to get all this information you just gave us? Is there we can go to and have a refresher course in this if we need it?
I do this once a month, and I go through basically the same thing. But these are always recorded. You can ask Liz how to find that recording, because I'm not sure.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. So any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And Justin, if you guys need more of a refresher, I know you're just coming back into the office. If you guys need more of a refresher, just let me know. But I'm happy to answer your questions.
I appreciate it, and we're
Okay.
happy to be back, and hopefully I don't cause as much of a headache this time around getting everything set up as
You're
last
fine.
time trying to get everything set up.
Okay. No problem. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, hay una manera que yo puedo dividir,